Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through sources to bring you actionable insights. Today, we're diving into something that sounds familiar, but it's got some pretty radical twists. We're talking about the Grateful Heart. Our main source is some insightful excerpts from a sermon by Elder Bilin. Now, Elder Bilin, he paints this picture of his time and era, grappling with international conflicts, deep divisions at home.
Sounds familiar.
Right. He saw political tensions affecting personal relationships, arguments between strangers, even families splitting up over this stuff. Doesn't that sound almost eerily relevant to, well, right now?
It really does. It's striking how timeless those struggles are.
So against that backdrop, he asks this really profound question. Can gratitude actually be a force? Not just for, inner stability, but maybe even for mending society. Our mission today is to unpack what he specifically means by gratitude, how far he thinks it goes, and what practical steps he offers.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about, Taiwan's reputation for that human touch, that kindness.
Yeah.
Could it be linked to this very mindset he's describing? It makes you wonder.
Okay, so let's get into it. The sermon starts by laying down a cornerstone for gratitude, and it's maybe not what you'd expect. It's peace.
Right, but not just, the absence of war or fighting.
No.
No, he's talking about something much deeper. A profound inner completeness, tranquility. Think the Hebrew idea of shalom.
Shalom, right. That sense of holistic well-being stemming from faith.
Exactly. It's that deep inner stability. And that becomes the real engine for gratitude. Without it, gratitude can feel a bit fragile.
Okay, so that inner peace is like the prerequisite. It makes sense, actually. When your heart's governed by that kind of quiet, there's just less room for complaints.
Precisely. You're less easily provoked. The foundation for gratitude gets stronger.
And that naturally leads to prayer. He connects it directly.
He does. And he offers a very specific sequence he learned. First praise, then confession, then gratitude, and only after all that, supplication making your requests.
Wow, okay. That sequence really flips the script on how we usually pray, doesn't it?
Totally. We often jump straight to the I need part.
And he backs this up with scripture, Psalm 22.3. But you are holy, you who inhabit the praises of Israel. So God actually dwells in our praise, our gratitude. It's about tuning our hearts before we ask. It really reframes the whole thing.
It does. And he also subtly suggests that even when we do ask for things, maybe we should focus more on deeper virtues like wisdom, love.
Rather than just material stuff, building character through prayer.
Exactly.
So from this foundation of inner peace and this specific kind of prayer, where does the gratitude itself go? Who are we meant to be grateful to? It starts predictably, I guess.
Yeah, it starts where you'd expect. Gratitude to God, obviously, to parents, friends, anyone who's helped us along the way, the usual suspects, you could say.
But then he gives this really practical exercise. I love this part, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, express gratitude to those closest to you, your partner, your kids.
And it's not just politeness, is it? He frames it as this practice of love, of tolerance, learning to navigate the differences when you live together.
It's about actively cultivating that positive connection day in, day out. Then he broadens it out even more.
Right, beyond the immediate circle.
To ancestors, people who laid the groundwork for society scientists, good government officials, people whose past efforts benefit us now, recognizing we're standing on their shoulders.
That ties into a really powerful story he tells about his own childhood.
Oh, yeah, the anemia.
Right, severe Mediterranean anemia in 1950s Taiwan. GDP was incredibly low, like $900. Poverty, poor hygiene, just really tough circumstances. And he talks about this deep gratitude for his parents who managed to raise him through all that. It makes the idea of gratitude feel very real, very grounded in hardship.
And he makes that fascinating point that people back then, despite having so much less materially, often seemed happier.
Yeah. That really makes you think, doesn't it? What actually is happiness? Is it just acquiring stuff?
It raises big questions.
Okay, but here's where the sermon, for me, took a really sharp turn. The part that made me pause and go, wait, what?
Yes. The challenging part.
He actually says we should cultivate gratitude even for people who haven't helped us, or even people who've actively harmed us. That's the core argument, and it is deeply challenging.
My first reaction was, how? Why? Is that even right? What's his reasoning?
His answer is a definite yes, we should. And he explains it using this concept of a mirror.
A mirror.
Yeah. Negative experiences, even harmful ones, act like mirrors. They reflect things back at us. They push us towards self-examination. They help us grow, build character, develop patience.
So they reveal our own shortcomings, help us avoid making the same mistakes.
Exactly. From that angle, even harm can become this unlikely opportunity for growth, if you choose to see it that way.
That's transformative, turning negatives into positives. He gives examples, right? Like Mandela, powerful examples. Nelson Mandela, yeah. 27 years in prison under apartheid. Horrific conditions.
And then when he becomes president, he invites the prison guards.
Not just invites them. He publicly thanks 3 of the guards who mistreated him at his inauguration. Thanks them.
Wow. Just wow.
And Mandela's reasoning was profound. He felt those hardships actually sharpened his mind, helped him survive. And he said, this is key. If I cannot forget the pain and resentment, then my heart is still in prison, not truly free.
So letting go of resentment, finding gratitude even, is the path to your own freedom.
It's for yourself, ultimately. It frees you.
He also tells that story about the saint in prison.
Right, who found joy and peace right there in his cell. People asked how he could be happy.
And he said it was like a monastery to him, because his heart was full of gratitude.
Exactly. And the flip side, the sermon notes, is that a heart full of resentment is trapped in a spiritual prison, even if you're physically free.
That's a powerful metaphor. It really lands.
And he brings it down to earth, too, with that example of, say, some retired men maybe isolating themselves at home because of worries about face or status.
Creating their own prison.
It's the inner state, not the outer walls, that defines your freedom.
So the thread through all this is our internal landscape. It's about how we choose to interpret and process what happens to us. It's an active choice.
Absolutely. It's about actively framing your experiences. And he uses another great metaphor for this, the heart as a container.
Yeah, the nursing director's story.
Right. If your heart's full of, like, corrosive sulfuric acid, negativity, resentment, then any interaction just spills that acid, hurting you and others.
But if it's full of perfume,
love, gratitude, then every interaction spreads that fragrance, that positivity.
It's such a vivid image. Your internal spiritual hygiene, basically. What you choose to fill your heart with determines what comes out.
Exactly. And those daily acts of gratitude, praise, that's how you keep filling it with the perfume. It builds resilience. It's proactive.
So we've got inner peace, this specific prayer order, gratitude even for the tough stuff. How does this translate into action? What does a grateful heart actually do in the world?
Well, the sermon suggests that conflicts, setbacks, instead of just being annoying, they become opportunities for self-examination. Back to that mirror idea.
Asking yourself, okay, why did this happen? What's my part in this? How can I make it better?
Right. Shifting from blame to personal responsibility.
And he makes that challenging point. If you seem to see bad people everywhere,
it might be worth looking inward.
Yeah.
Maybe it's reflecting something about your own state. Focusing too much on others' flaws can highlight our own.
Ouch. Okay. That's a tough mirror to look into sometimes.
It is. But the teaching is, take others' mistakes as warnings for yourself. Don't do that. And at the same time, look for their good qualities, their virtues, and try to emulate those. Constant learning, constant self-improvement.
He tells that story about the dad yelling at other drivers.
Oh yeah, calling them crazy, idiot.
And then his young son starts using the exact same words. It perfectly illustrates that idea of 生教养育养教.
Teaching by example being more powerful than words. Our actions, even unconsciously, shape those around us, especially kids. Our inner state isn't just internal.
It ripples outwards.
Exactly. And that's the next step. Once you've done that self-examination, once your heart is genuinely filled with gratitude and peace, there's a natural desire to share it.
It just sort of overflows.
Pretty much. It's not forced. It's a spontaneous result of that inner transformation. Like a garden producing fruit you naturally want to share.
Which connects to Proverbs 4.23, right? Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it.
You have to cultivate the source, the wellspring, before you can offer good water to others.
And he gives real-world examples of this sharing.
Yeah, concrete examples. The Hualien Beipu Church, even though it's rural, uses podcasts, a YouTube channel called Gospel Dalling, to share its faith.
A modern outreach.
And the story of how they got their church land and building Elder Yao's dedication, his family support. They even let members farm nearby land and share the harvest.
That's really practical, community-focused sharing, tangible blessings.
It shows that gratitude cycle in action.
Yeah.
Receiving blessings, cultivating gratitude, leading to sharing. It embodies that idea that giving is more blessed than receiving.
It completes the circle.
And he reinforces it all with 1 Thessalonians 5.18. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you. It's a prompt for self-reflection, isn't it?
Definitely. Are we maybe asking for too much and just not saying thank you enough?
For mercy, salvation, healing, love, protection, all the grace we receive, it's about maintaining that conscious awareness.
Which reminds me of that charming little story he tells at the end, the 5-year-old boy and the candy.
Ah, yeah, the trust.
He trusts the shop owner who represents God to give him more candy than he could grab himself. He doesn't grasp, he trusts.
It's a beautiful illustration. God's blessings often exceed what we could imagine or grasp for ourselves, but we forget to be thankful, or we don't trust enough.
We try to control it ourselves instead of receiving gratefully.
Exactly. It's a reminder to stay aware, stay appreciative, and trust in that abundance.
Okay, so pulling it all together, it seems like a complete cycle. Start with inner peace, practice gratitude towards God, others, even adversity, which leads to self-examination, and finally culminates in sharing the blessings that flow from that grateful heart.
That's a great summary of the flow.
And how does Elder Bizian ultimately describe a life lived this way? What are the signs?
He lays out 4 signs of what he terms a mature Christian life. Signs that show these principles are really alive in someone.
Okay, what are they?
First, a solid, unwavering faith foundation. Second, a disciplined, mature approach to just living life day to day. Third, a spiritual life that's dynamic, constantly being renewed and growing.
And the fourth?
The fourth is a life full of abundant gratitude and living testimony, where your actions speak volumes.
So gratitude isn't just a nice-to-have feeling. In his view, it's actually a key indicator, a natural result of spiritual maturity and love for God.
It's an outpouring, a natural consequence of that inner state.
And consistency is key, right? He mentions perseverance.
Absolutely. He uses that analogy, Socrates and Plato swinging their arms daily. Seems small, but consistency yields results. Same with gratitude. Small daily acts build up over time. It's the practice.
It brings us back to fundamentals. He connects it all to 1 Corinthians 13.13, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. And in this framework, gratitude seems like a vital path towards that love and towards the peace we started with. It all links together.
It really does. The core message is that gratitude, peace, and sharing are inseparable. Reverence for God starts the wisdom. Wisdom leads to gratitude. Gratitude builds the relationship, and that brings peace and joy, which you then share.
Trust, cultivate gratitude, practice consistently.
That's the encouragement. Put it into action.
Wow. This has been a really deep dive, and frankly, a pretty challenging one. Elder Bizian's perspective on gratitude, especially regarding harm and adversity, is not the usual message.
Not at all. It definitely pushes you to reevaluate how you think about gratitude, doesn't it? And its power in shaping our inner world.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you, the listener, to maybe sit with. Think about your own life for a moment. Are there people or maybe situations from your past that you've always just labeled as bad or negative, things you might still hold some resentment about?
Now, what if you tried, just as an exercise, to look at those experiences again through this lens of gratitude we've talked about, not to excuse harm or pretend pain didn't happen, but to actively search, really search for any hidden lessons, any strength you gained, any resilience that emerged, maybe even because of it.
Even the smallest thing. What new perspective might open up if you looked for the unexpected gift within the difficulty? And if you started to consciously practice seeing things this way, even a little bit each day, what might start to shift in how you experience your life right now?
That's a powerful question to carry with you, something to really explore.